Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of measurement and geometry, and more specifically, we're going to focus on our understanding of congruent figures. So what makes two figures congruent? Well, two figures are congruent if they are identical in every aspect except for position. So they're going to be the same shape, which is the same size, but they might have been rotated, reflected, or translated. Compare this with similarity, where two figures are similar if one figure is an enlargement of the other. So these triangles on my right-hand side are similar because B is an enlargement of A, whereas the triangles on my left-hand side are congruent because they are exactly the same shape, however, they've just been rotated. So let's look at an example question. The question says, are the following shapes congruent? Well, essentially, we're trying to find out if they are the same size, but they've just been rotated, reflected, or translated. Essentially, do the corresponding sides on each shape match up? Well, we have this circle here, or half circle, I should say, on one side, and we also have a half circle on the other side, so that's a good start. As you can see, this half circle is connected to one long diagonal line, and it is on the same side on our second shape. We also have the half circle connected to a short line down here, which again is exactly the same. We then have a kind of box figure here in green, you can see, all right, and then that's both connected with a straight line. And what you'll see is that if we actually rotated our first shape 90 degrees anti-clockwise, oops, then we would end up with this shape right here. So then we can say, well, yes, these shapes are congruent. So let's have a look at our second question here. This question says, are the following shapes congruent? Well, again, we need to make sure they're the exact same size with the exact same shapes, but they could be translated, rotated, or reflected. If we look at our curve, both half circles are 2 squares wide, okay, and have a radius of 1 square. So that's great. We then have a box which is 1 by 1, and here is a box 1 by 1, and then the half circle and the box just meet up both with the same length line. So we can say these shapes are exactly the same, they are congruent, they've just been translated. So we would say, are the following shapes congruent? Yes, shape A has been translated to shape B. Okay, so now I have a practice question for you to have a go at. Feel free to pause the video when the question comes up. Try and answer it when you think you've got the right answer. Continue, and we'll see how you went. Okay, so as stated, here's the practice question. The question says, are the two shapes below congruent? If so, what sides in the second shape correspond to the side BC in the first shape? Please feel free to pause the video and have a go at this question. Once you think you've got the answer, continue, and we'll see how you went. Okay, so let's see how you went. We are essentially looking for the side that correlates, or corresponds, I should say, to BC. But we're looking for that side on our second shape. Now we know that AB is the smallest length, alright? So therefore, H and E, or EH, must correspond to AB. And we know that BC, alright, is not on a diagonal, alright, but it's actually straight along this way. So therefore, we know that it must be EF. So the side that corresponds to BC is actually the side EF. And yes, they are congruent.